Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into one of the most consequential deals ever made. It's a story about a simple bowl of stew that didn't just satisfy a little hunger, it literally rewrote the future of an entire nation. Let's get right into it. So we're jumping into the story of two brothers, Jacob and Esau. Their rivalry, their completely different ways of seeing the world, it all came down to a single impulsive bargain with consequences that would echo down through history.
Right at the heart of this whole thing is this fundamental clash of worldviews, and it's perfectly captured by these two twin brothers. To really get why they made the choices they did, you've got to understand who they were, right down to the meaning of their names.
Okay, let's start with Jacob. His name literally means one who follows at the heel, or, a supplanter. And that really tells you a lot, hinting at his ambitious, always striving nature. Now, he was deeply flawed, for sure, but Jacob was driven by this desire for something more than what he could just see and touch, something spiritual, something eternal.
And then you have his total opposite, Esau. As the firstborn, he was a skilled hunter, a real man of the field. This was a guy who lived completely in the moment. He was driven by his physical needs, his immediate appetites. What mattered to him was what he could see, touch, and taste, right here, right now.
So, to really feel the weight of the deal they're about to make, we have to stop and ask, what was this birthright anyway? Because believe me, it was way, way more than just a fancy title.
In their culture, the birthright was the whole shebang. It wasn't just about honor. It was this package of immense value. It represented the authority and the inheritance that was legally set aside for the oldest son. This was the ultimate prize.
So, what did you actually get? Well, it basically boiled down to two huge things. First, the material stuff. The firstborn got a double portion of the family's wealth. But honestly, even more important was the spiritual side. The guy with the birthright became the next patriarch, the spiritual leader who was responsible for carrying on the divine promises made to their family. It was a massive deal.
All right, so all of this is building to the climax of our story. This is the moment where these two completely opposite value systems smash into each other.
Picture this. The stage is set with something we can all relate to. Esau, the hunter, stumbles in from the field absolutely exhausted and starving. And who's there? Jacob, the supplanter, just happens to be cooking up a pot of red lentil stew.
And Jacob, he sees his opening. He doesn't just offer his brother some food. No, he makes this incredibly audacious, calculated demand. He puts his ambition right out there on the table and asks for the one thing he wants more than anything else in the world.
And Esau's reply? Wow, it tells you everything. In his mind, he's about to die of hunger. And faced with that immediate physical discomfort, he just dismisses his eternal spiritual inheritance like it's completely worthless. What good is a birthright to a dead man? And just like that, the deal is done. For a single meal, a temporary fix for a temporary problem, Esau sells his entire future, his legacy, his spiritual authority. This one act just lays bare this profound spiritual short-sightedness that would end up defining him forever. So why are we still talking about this thousands of years later? Well, because this is so much more than just an old story about sibling rivalry. It's a timeless case study on human nature, on what we value, and on the incredible danger of choosing the temporary thing over the eternal one. It's about trading a long-term investment for just a moment of gratification. And later scripture looks back on this moment, and the judgment is harsh. Esau is called a profane person. Now, that doesn't mean he was just evil or foul-mouthed. It means he treated something sacred, something holy, as if it were common and cheap. He just didn't get its value.
This story perfectly sets up a universal theme that Jesus himself would echo later on. What good is it to get everything you want right now, to gain the whole world, if it costs you the thing of infinite, long-term worth? It's really a question about what truly matters in the end.
But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Even though Jacob acted with some serious cunning, let's be honest, it was a pretty shady move, his flawed actions were somehow used to fulfill a much larger divine purpose. It just goes to show that a greater plan can move forward despite our human weaknesses and schemes.
You see, Jacob's story wasn't over. That raw ambition of his was eventually refined over years of hardship and discipline, and that process transformed the supplanter into Israel, the father of a nation. It's just a powerful reminder that a higher purpose can be worked out through very imperfect people.
And so, this ancient bargain leaves us with a pretty provocative question for our own lives, doesn't it? What are the bowls of stew in our world today? What immediate comforts, temporary pleasures, or short-term gains are we chasing, maybe without even realizing the priceless, long-term birthrights we might be trading away for them?